Emmanuel Azika is the political editor of the Vanguard newspapers of Nigeria, and he joins us now via Zoom from Lagos. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Welcome to the program. At a critical time in a country's history, when there's a crisis, that's when a president is called upon to address the nation and to give them some reassurance. Do you think that President Buhari did that today, or was this perhaps not enough and late?
Well, first of all, I'm the immediate past political editor of Vanguard newspapers. I resigned from that position last year. Yes, the president spoke today. His speech came 12 or 13 days after nationwide demonstrations started. And as concerning, the president is supposed to be a counselor or a consoler-in-chief, a commander-in-chief. What we saw President Muhammadu Buhari do today is acting as a commander-in-chief, not as a consoler or a comforter-in-chief. We didn't see, it's been all over social media since the president spoke, that he didn't mention the Lekki carnage. Lives were lost. The president totally ignored that. And I believe many Nigerians feel that he hasn't shown empathy in that regard. Well, he rehearsed a number of initiatives his administration has taken, especially and mostly political initiatives, trader money, and handouts that the government has given out in the past to the poor. And Nigerians do feel that this was not an opportunity to rehearse such initiatives. They wanted the president to address the issues, to reach out to the youths, to reach out to those who have felt left out of the system. And I don't think the president did that.
Did the president even acknowledge that people had died at the hands of what's alleged to be the authorities?
Hello?
Did the president even acknowledge that... Hello, can you hear me, Mr. Azika?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay, did the president even acknowledge that people had died at Lekki?
He didn't. I said he didn't mention Lekki. He didn't mention Lekki. Well, he reached out to the security agencies and security officers who had lost their lives. A number of security officers have lost their lives, and it's so unfortunate. Policemen, even today, are still being killed. 2 policemen were killed in Ibadan. A number of policemen were killed in Ogidi in Anambra State, 450 kilometers from Lagos in the southeast. A policeman was reportedly beheaded. So the president reached out to his constituency. That is the security architecture. But he didn't reach out to the people. And that is the feeling Nigerians went away with that speech.
So what you're suggesting is that he continues to wear his soldier's clothes, even though he's been a civilian for a long time.
Yes. He continues to, he reached out to his military constituency. He reached his military constituency, but not to the populace.
All right, why do you think he's done that, though? I mean, this is such a big story globally. When civilians are shot by soldiers or security officials, it's a major story. Why would he not address it? Well,
it could be a measure of, that's the nature of the president we have in Nigeria. Some people just say he came in as somebody who was seen as reticent. He came in as somebody who was seen as somebody who does not talk much. But if you have to be a president, you have to reach out. You have to relate to the people. We have not seen this president do that. Some people have noted that the last time he had a sort of interactive section with the media was in 2015, some few months after he came to power. Opportunities for him to be questioned, opportunities for him to either the press, the media, or the non-political actors to reach out to him, to address him, to speak with him, to draw his feelings have not been provided.
Did he give us a clue about what he's thinking? Because he talked about the protesters being used by elements that are subversive. It's almost as if he believes that this is a political machination and that the protesters are being used by his enemies.
Yes, the president clearly said that when he talks about, subversive elements, the protesters. Well, he reached out to some extent by telling the protesters, we have heard you loud and clear. The president did say that. We must acknowledge that. The president did say that he has heard and that he has set in motion processes to address the issues raised by the protesters. But unfortunately, I do think that many Nigerians expected him to be more detailed, because a large portion of his speech, 12-minute speech, was devoted to what he has done as a politician. The trader money, things he has handed out to traders, what his government has done in terms of reaching out to traders. But we expected him to, the issues at stake, the position of the youths in society, the future of the youths, the issues, because though these things started as a police, as a resistance and as a protest against police brutality, it has now emerged into a political issue. And we expected the president, as a politician, to address the issues that have been raised. But unfortunately, the president didn't bite that bullet.
One gets a sense, watching the events unfold, that we could be looking at a situation that we saw very recently in another West African country, where Abubakar Keita found himself at the wrong side of public protests and eventually had to resign. Where does the Nigerian military stand here? I guess they're backing their man.
The Nigerian military is in full loyalty, has the full loyalty to President Muhammadu Buhari. The architecture and the system and controls process is fully loyal to the president. Nobody expects anything untoward to dislocate our democratic system. But unfortunately, the economic system is in lockdown. Lagos has been shut down for the past 2 days. It's not happened even during the COVID lockdown. It wasn't like this in Lagos, and the heartlands in the southeast, in the south, the protests are escalating, and it's unfortunate the economies there are being locked down, and one would say that Nigeria has not seen this kind of political uprising before.
But this is unsustainable, one would think. And I just wonder if, with all the international attention that's being seen, it may be too much pressure to bear. Something will have to give.
Well, that is where the that's where the president is expected to move in. And one would have, that's what we expect, because at the end of the national security meeting this afternoon, the national security advisor did say that the president was going to make some fundamental statements that were expected to break the back of the protesters. But that speech did not contain that kind of a did not bring out any fundamental change from all that we have been hearing from this administration. We didn't see any nothing remarkable that came out towards addressing the issues that have been brought forward by the protests. We didn't see that today.
Is the president losing control of the country at this stage? I mean, these protesters, 2 weeks now, defiant, and even after fatalities, they're just unrelenting. Has he lost control, in your view, or are we still to see some force to be unleashed on the public?
Well, it must be confessed that the president is in So long as he remains the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the military is in full loyalty to, is paying full loyalty to him. The security system is under his full control, but he has lost the control of the streets. He has lost control of the streets. We do not see a president coming out to walk the streets. We don't see this president doing that.
So what does this mean for the regional governments? You have a federal systems, but then you have state governors. Are they all falling into line, or are we starting to perhaps hearing people talking behind closed doors about how to manage the situation going forward?
That is beginning to evolve now. This evening, the northern governors did meet, and at the end of the meeting, the northern governors did come out with a resolution that the protests were directed towards breaking the country's democracy. The southern governors have not met, and taking into consideration the fact that this president is from the north, there is a fear that if he remains recalcitrant, that it could lead to some wedge between the various fragile components that make up this country. And that is where people expect statesmen to move beyond ethnic and religious divides to patch up the fragments of the country. The president is supposed to lead this initiative, but we have not seen him do that. We have not seen him do that openly, but beyond the scene, we heard him say that, or in his speech this evening, we had him thank religious and ethnic leaders who have been able to, who in the past few days have called out to protesters to come to move away from the streets. The president did thank them, but one expects him to move beyond that, reach out to regional leaders, reach out to political leaders across the divide. We've not seen the president do that. The governor of Lagos State, in an interview today, said something remarkable, speaking on television in a television interview, said that he has tried to reach the president since the Lekki carnage, but he's not been able to reach the president since this thing happened on Tuesday, which is a remark, which is very, very unfortunate. The governor of Nigeria's most populous state, the commercial capital of the country, tried to reach the president for 2 days after this carnage, and he's not been able to speak to the president. It tells you the kind of disconnect that is happening, despite the fact that they are from the same political party.
I suppose the other thing that this kind of thing does, because you've been saying that he's not very public-facing, he'll issue statements, but very rarely would he make a public appearance. There's been speculation almost since the beginning of his presidency that he's not well and that he's not okay. Could that explain this lack of being able to get hold of him and his lack of not making public appearances?
Well, that is an issue that is not often brought into the public discourse. But Nigerians do know that after the during the COVID-19 lockdown, for 3 months, the president didn't leave the villa. And when he came out and he went to Niger, Nigerians looked at him and saw, our president looks very cheerful, was chubby, and to the outside world, he looked very well. So I do not think that this is a matter of ill health. I think this is a matter of style.
So what's your fear of what might happen if this impasse continues? The president is almost suggesting that if you don't listen, we're going to have to manage this situation. And he's saying, engage with us, do not protest. The protesters don't seem to be hearing or wanting to hear this message.
That is the situation we are finding, and it's quite unfortunate because, many people think that this thing is happening only in Lagos. It is not only in Lagos. It is happening across the country, especially in the southern parts of the country. Even in the north, there was a protest in Kano 2 days ago, but the authorities there were able to were able to suppress it. So, and I do think that if it is not well managed, it could rise up in the rest of the country.
And I suppose what's difficult for the president at this time is that usually when there are issues in Nigeria, you can almost split them sometimes between North and South, and then perhaps even tribally. But for some reason, this issue has united Nigerians in a way that nothing else has done in the past.
That's true. That's true. That's true. That's true. But the unity, the cohesion of the protest is more in the South. It is more in the South, it must be said. In the North, it hasn't gained the kind of momentum that one would have expected. Because actually the organization in the South, because down in the South, the people are more, this protest has been driven especially by social media. Twitter, it's been especially driven by social media. And the South has the advantage of having more educated persons. I think that may have also accounted for this.
Nigeria is a big player in West Africa. How is ECOWAS managing this heavy hitter in the region?
Well, I've not heard much from ECOWAS, but I do know that I think I did hear earlier today that the United Nations has expressed concern on this issue. ECOWAS really would be somehow, for some reasons, concerning the size of Nigeria and the influence of Nigeria in the body, would prefer to stay back for some time.
All right. Mr. Azika, thank you very, very much indeed for your insights on this developing situation in Nigeria. Thanks for your time, sir.
Thank you very much, and God bless you.
All right, that's Mr. Emmanuel Azika, former editor, political editor at the Vanguard newspaper, speaking to us about the situation in Nigeria, which continues to be fluid. The president has spoken for the first time in 2 weeks about the unrest and didn't even mention that some of his citizens were killed, possibly by his soldiers.